Alright, what's good YouTube? It's Aurzyn, and today in this video I'm gonna bring y'all the top 5 best builds on NBA 2K22 right now. And in this video I'm not only gonna be showing you guys how to make all the builds, but I'm gonna give you guys a baseline for each build and you guys can adjust it accordingly. But honestly, I made these builds the best way I thought possible, but if you guys think a build is better a certain way, you guys can obviously adjust it. Now I also talk about one super important thing at the very beginning of the video that you guys should do and should pay attention to, so make sure you guys watch this entire video through and make sure you guys stay for that key little hint. Along with all of that, I'm going to be talking about how easy the build it is to use, so how good it would be for a new player, an intermediate player, or an advanced player, and also the build where it reaches its full cap, whether it's like 95, 99. A lot of these builds, obviously they get better at 99, but they're still usable at 85. And so obviously some of them are going to be better for beginner players, and some of them are going to be better for super advanced players. It all kind of just depends, and the builds are all kind of preference. But with all that being said, let's get straight into the video. Okay, so one important thing before we get into the build is make sure you want to go over to features, settings, and you're going to want to scroll down until you get to the metric system right here. It's going to say imperial system, but you're going to want to switch that to the metric system. It basically just allows you to get in between an inch, and for some of these builds it's going to matter a lot, so make sure you guys go to metric system, and I'm going to be showing you guys all the measurements for metric system as well as imperial system, in case you don't want to go into metric system. But I would highly recommend it. You can always make a slightly better build with the metric system. And now let's get into the first build. Okay guys, so remember, these builds are no order, so I'm not going to put a top, these are just the top 5 best builds. They're not going to be in a specific order. Some of these builds are going to be better than others for certain people or for certain positions, but none of these builds are 100% like the best build in the game, and all it has to do with preference, and that's why I'm giving you the 5 best builds. So starting off, the first build is going to be a point guard. Handedness does not matter, and jersey number does not matter. Now the pie chart for this first build is going to be the red and the yellow. Alright guys, so the physical profile you're going to pick is the agility and vertical. This is going to give you 99 speed regardless, and you're also going to get vertical with it. But one thing to keep in mind with these builds is that these are my builds, and you can always adjust them a little bit if you think they're better a certain way. Just use this kind of like a baseline, and you guys can adjust it to however you like it. But for this build, we're going to go driving dunk, driving layup, and close shot until we get 6 finishing badges. The reason I say 6 finishing badges is for gold limitless takeoff and gold posterizer. Now moving on to shooting, we're going to max everything out on shooting, except I'm going to take 1 badge off just because it's just extra, and I think we can put it to more use somewhere else. So moving on, we have ball handle, pass accuracy until we have 20 playmaking badges. 20 playmaking badges is a lot. And then finally, we have steal, lateral quickness, and perimeter defense to get 10. Then defensive rebound to get 19. And finally, put the rest on block. Now, obviously, you guys can adjust this build to whatever you want. This is just the way I like my builds. And I'd say for this build, this build is meant more for someone who's intermediate or advanced at the game. I would say it's not the best build for a beginner, but it's definitely still a good build even if you are a beginner. But I'd say it's definitely more for an advanced or intermediate type player, because it does have a lower 3 ball and it is harder to shoot with a lower 3 ball. Alright guys, and the height I would recommend for this build is going to be 1.95. It is the perfect height. It is just under 6'5". If you guys do the calculations for this, it's just under 6'5", and that is perfect because that allows you to get every single dribble move in the game. Obviously, you guys know there's a cap on 6'5" and over. If you're 6'5" and over, you can't get certain dribble moves. So we're going metric system, and this is the key reason why I said metric system is so good. It allows you to break that barrier without losing much height at all, and now you're 1.95 meters, which is basically 6'5" still, but now you get the under 6'5" dribble moves. So that's with the height. The weight is going to be minimum. We want to be the fastest player possible, and the wingspan is going to be maximum. You don't really lose anything. You don't really get anything from going 1 below maximum. So maximum is going to be the best. You're going to have a 64 three-pointer, an 80 driving dunk, and obviously that'll be an 84 driving dunk when you hit 99 overall, which will let you get contact dunks. And overall, this build is just really, really solid. It honestly unlocks its full potential when you get from 95 to 99, which means you have to grind this build out, and that may not be for everyone. But honestly, once you get to 99, this build is so good. It's probably one of the best builds in the game. It might be the best build in the game. And for takeover options, honestly, you got a lot. If you want a little boost to maybe shooting, obviously you can't get sharp, but shot creator will do it at the mid-range. Obviously, you can fade with that too. You have slashing takeover. I would say the best takeover is probably between lockdown and slashing. My personal favorite is playmaking, and this is kind of what apply to all builds, but for this build I would recommend slashing or lockdown, but let's just pick slashing. And you guys can see this build is called a two-way playmaker. This is one of the best builds in the game, and now let's get on to the next build. Alright guys, so moving into the next build right now is going to be a power forward. Handedness does not matter, pick whatever you want. Let's hit continue, and the pie chart for this build is going to be the one that's already selected. It's going to be the more green than red. This build is known as the glass cleaner, and I'm going to show you guys the best way to make it. Now for physical profile, you're going to want to make the fastest build possible, which includes the first physical pie chart. Now driving we'll do last, but through shooting we'll go this, and until we get 20 shooting badges. You don't need more than 20, 20 is fine. Then we go ball handle, pass accuracy, and post control. Now you guys might be wondering why I'm doing this on a glass cleaner, but I'll explain in a second. Now lastly, we're going to upgrade every single thing in defense all the way max to be the most defensive oriented possible. And finally, we're going to put our last 38 on driving dunk and the rest on driving layup. Now the reason I went for a 120, 10, 23 badge spread is because playmaking in this game is so important, and finishing in this game is not very important at all. Honestly, I don't prefer a standing dunk, and even if you did, you could take some playmaking off and get that, but it's just my preference. I like playmaking a lot more than finishing, and I think you should go playmaking over finishing. I think just having a driving dunk is actually plenty for a build like this. You're going to be driving once in a while, but it's not going to be the main thing. And finally, you're going to have a bunch of defense, and you're going to be able to shoot and also not get ripped. I notice a lot of people get ripped a lot in this game, and having that ball handle and those playmaking badges is going to help a lot with that. So moving on, body shape does not matter. Go with whatever you want, whatever you like your player as. Obviously, the bigger you are at the center, the better, but it doesn't really matter. It doesn't affect anything. It's just preference. Height, you're going to want to go 2.04 meters, or if you're in the Imperial system, that is 6'8". And the reason we don't go shorter than this is because we lose too much defense, and the reason we don't go taller than this is because we lose too much speed. So 2.04 is the perfect height. Moving on to the weight, it's going to go all the way down, and then we're going to go up until we don't lose a speed. So it's going to be 87 kilograms. And if you are in the Imperial system, just do the same thing, go all the way down until you don't lose a speed or acceleration, and boom, then wingspan is going to be maxed. You can see if we go down a couple, we gain like a 3-point, but we lose so much defense. So there's really no point to do that. Go max wingspan. You're going to still be able to shoot 77 3-ball, which would be an 81 at 99. It's plenty in this game to shoot. And overall, you're going to be able to shoot just fine with this build. This build is very solid all around. It's going to allow you to get some dunk packages too when you reach 99, 75 driving dunk. And overall, it just has great defense and great shooting. And this build I would actually rank as an easy to use build. Compared to the two-way playmaker from last, this one is going to be so much easier of a build, and I would definitely recommend it for someone who's beginning the game. But it's also a very good build for someone who's also very skilled at the game. So moving on to takeover, do not put rim protector takeover. Some of you guys might like it, but honestly, it's just like it's terrible compared to the glass cleaning. Glass cleaning allows you to see all the rebounds, and I like that. But honestly, sharp takeover is the best takeover in the game. So sharp takeover, I would go with that. And you guys can see the build comes out as a glass cleaner. Now that's it for that build, and let's get on to the next one. Alright guys, so the next build is going to be a power forward, right-handed. Jersey number does not matter. You guys can pick whatever you want. And going on, we are going to choose the red and yellow pie chart. You guys might know this build. This build is going to be my playmaking glass cleaner that I've used since day one of the game. I literally made it day one, and basically for this build, we're going to upgrade defensive rebound, offensive rebound, block, lateral quickness, interior defense, and perimeter defense. And we're going to lower interior defense until we keep 19 defensive badges right here. You guys can see we have 19. Then we're going to go to ball handle, pass accuracy, and post control. And we're going to put that all the way up, and we're going to keep it. Then going on to driving, we're going driving dunk, driving layup, and close shot until we have 6 finishing badges. There we go, we have 6. And then we put our last attributes on this until we should have 7 shooting badges right here. And we can take these final attributes, and I think they're better suited for interior defense actually right here. So this is the way I would make my play glass. If you guys have another way in the comments, you guys can feel free to make it however you want. This is just the way I prefer mine, and obviously it's a baseline, so you guys can make whatever adjustments you want in order to make it slightly better or slightly worse. It's all opinionated, and it's all kind of preference for what someone chooses over another. So this is what I like. You guys can like something else, but the rating I would give this build for like usability or for easiness to use, is definitely intermediate to hard. I would say this build is more for a skilled player, advanced player. Not to mean you can't use it if you are new to the game, but it's just going to have a higher learning curve and it's going to be a lot harder to learn. But if you're up for the challenge, it might be the right build for you. So going with the height on this build, you're going to go minimum all the way to 2.01 meters, which is 6.5945 feet or 6 feet and 7.1 inches in the conversion. So it's just over 6'7". And honestly, it's a very, very good height. You're going to be really, really fast with this build. And overall, like, your stats are just going to be really, really good. So height down, weight down until you reach the bottom. And then you're going to go back up until you lose a speed or acceleration. 85 kilograms is that limit for this build. And the wingspan is going to be maximum. And then I would get rid of 2. This is the way I would do it. You lose a little bit of defense. You lose a little bit of finishing, but you get that extra 3 ball. The other way you could do it is just going max. You lose a 3 ball, but you get 1 finishing and a little bit more defense. Either way works, whatever you guys want, but I'm going to go this just because I would prefer it. You know, I like that extra 3 ball. And yeah, just do whatever you guys want. It doesn't really matter. And going for the takeover, do not pick glass cleaning. I would go slashing or playmaking. I prefer playmaking, but you guys can pick slashing if you want. Slashing might be a little bit better, but I just prefer playmaking for the ankle breakers. But yeah, go for slashing. I think it's a little bit better actually. But like I said, I just prefer playmaking. And you guys can see the build comes out as a playmaking glass cleaner. And honestly, it's one of my favorite builds in this game. I have so much fun on my playmaking glass cleaner. And honestly, if you guys are new to the game, you guys can still make it, even though I would recommend it for more intermediate to hard or advanced players. You guys can still make it if you are new to the game, but that's the build, and let's get on to the next one now. Alright guys, so the 4th build is going to be another point guard build. I don't know if you guys noticed a common theme of point guards and power forwards. Anyway, you're going to want to go whatever hand that you want, and jersey number does not matter. With this build, it is going to be the green and yellow. This is one of the most common builds. I talked about it a few videos ago. It's going to be the play shot. Anyway, you're going to want to go max speed. You're going to start out by upgrading shooting until you have 25 shooting badges. I believe that is maximum you can have. Yes, maximum you can have. You want to take 5 off until you get to 78 post fade. Then you're going to upgrade ball handle, pass accuracy, and post control until you have 23 playmaking badges. You can see I have it right there, 23, and then you're going to put the rest on defense, just like this. All of these stats right here, and you should end up with around 7, maybe 8 right here. And then you can put the rest on driving dunk and driving layup if you want, just to have that little bit of finishing. Now, this build I would rate as very, very easy to use. This is definitely one of the best builds for a beginner, and it pairs very, very well with that glass cleaner I showed earlier. The reason this build and that glass cleaner were 2 of the most highly rated, easy to use builds is because they both have high 3-pointers for their builds, or for their height, matter of fact. And that's why I really, really like them as builds. If you're looking for something that has a high 3-pointer, easy to use, this is definitely going to be a build for you. Honestly, it's not one of the most fun builds in the game. I think the play glass, there's a lot of more other fun builds in the game, harder to use, but they're more fun. But this build is gonna get it done. You know, it's gonna get you wins if that's what you're looking for. And honestly, it's a great build, even though it's a very, very common build, very, very hated build because of that. It's honestly just a great build, and I can't not include it in a top 5 builds video. Body shape does not matter. For the height of this build, I would recommend going around 188 or 6'2". You guys can go all the way down to 185, all the way up to 191 if you guys do want. That's kind of the range I would make this build. That is anywhere from 6'1 to 6'3, and honestly, it's probably just around, it's the best height for around this build. It doesn't really matter, it's kind of all preference, but go with whatever you want in that little range. The shorter, you're obviously going to be more offensive oriented. The taller, you're going to be more defensive oriented. I would go taller for 2s, shorter for 3s. And the weight for this build is just going to be minimum, and so you lose a speed, so you can go right there, lose that. And then wingspan is going to be minimum for this build. It's going to be the first minimum wingspan build. You guys can see 95 3-pointer at 99, 94 ball control at 99. Defense is a little bit low, but it's okay. The build is mainly for offense anyway. Ball handle, 3-point shot, main attributes right there, the most important ones. 99 speed at 99. And honestly, just a fantastic build. And for takeover, I would not pick anything else besides sharp. You guys could, if you have a preference for another one, you can. But honestly, sharp is just so much. It's miles above those other 2 takeovers. And sharp takeover, in my opinion, is miles better than any other takeover in this game. So if you ever have the option for sharp takeover, I would pick it. And you guys can see the build comes out as a playmaking shot creator. That's about it for that build. And let's get on to the next build now. Alright guys, and the final build is going to be a small forward. Now this build, I wouldn't say it's one of the best builds in the game. I mean, I feel like it's more of an underrated build that a lot of people kind of overhate just because the badge count's a little bit lower than everyone else. But honestly, when I use this build and when I'm on this build, it is some of the easiest wins I've ever gotten just because of how good it is on offense. So the pie chart is going to be the more blue than green, this one right here. Physical profile is going to be pure speed. Now, the badge count on this one is a little bit weird. This build is very, very all around. It does everything. So driving layup, driving dunk, and standing dunk are all going to be 81 maxed out. Mid-range and 3-point shot along with free throw is going to leave you at 14, and that's the perfect amount. We don't need any more than that. Ball handle and pass accuracy is going to give you 9 playmaking badges, and the rest is going to go on defense. Steal, lateral quickness, perimeter defense, defensive rebound, block. Offensive rebound is going to go to 46. And interior defense is going to go to 47. Actually, I just look back, it's actually free throw, post fade goes here, and then we can take 46 right there, and then put that on there to get shooting. That way we have a post fade. It's actual usable stat. If you play like rec or want this build for something else, you can put the free throw on it, but honestly, I don't use the free throw because I just play park. But anyway, this is a very, very all-around build, as you guys can see. 12, 14, 9, 8. Now, you guys may be thinking like, oh, that's kind of low, and I agree, it is kind of low. And you guys might be able to adjust the build to make it something else or to make it better. But this is just the way I made it. This is the way I like it. I don't really feel like there's an area where I'm lacking too many badges. Just for the badges I use, I have all of them in each category. And this build is just super, super good on offense. And honestly, the defense isn't terrible too. I have that 72 steal. I noticed a lot of steals with this build. And honestly, like, just all around, this build is just not bad on defense. Even though you may think it is bad, it just is. It's not very bad. I would say the skill rating for this build is gonna be easy to medium. Now, the reason I give it that intermediate or medium rating instead of just easy is because it has a high 3 ball, so it's easy to shoot, but 2, the defense is a little bit bad, which means it could be hard for a new player to play good defense on this build. But I think honestly it's not as hard as maybe a play glass or a two-way playmaker, which is why I give it that easy to intermediate rating. Now, moving on to the physicals, body shape does not matter. For the height of this build, you're going to want to go 2.03, which is just under 6'8". It's going to be very, very good for this build. And honestly, you can go shorter if you want. I just like my build taller. I don't really think there's a need to go shorter on this build. So I would say 2.03. And then for the weight, you're going to want to go minimum, and then you're going to want to go up until you lose an acceleration at 85 kilograms. And finally, for the wingspan, it's going to be max. Make sure you guys put it on max, because at 99 overall, you get an 88 driving dunk, and that is the cap you need to unlock the Michael Jordan free throw line dunk, which is a very, very overpowered dunk. Not a lot of builds have the dunk, and honestly, it activates so much, and it's so useful in my opinion, which is why I like it. So this is the build right here. Final stats. If you guys want all my drill moves or shooting on any of my builds that I listed in this video, make sure you guys go check out all my other videos on that. I have a bunch on my channel, and they're all in just one spot just for you guys. Obviously, they're all on my channel, so just scroll back, just probably within the last month. There's probably videos for jump shot, badges, dribbling, anything you guys could want. So wingspan is max. Alright guys, and finally for the takeovers, you guys notice I don't get sharp takeover, which I have on my build. Now, you guys could go slashing or lockdown, but honestly, if you guys want sharp takeover, you have to go back, and what you have to do is lower your mid-range to this and just go like this, and boom, you still have 14. And now honestly, it's weird, but just put in the same exact stats as you had before. 85 kilograms on the weight, wingspan is max, and you guys can see I now have sharp takeover as an option. It's kind of strange, but honestly, if this is the way you guys want your build, honestly, I think sharp takeover, if you have the option to get it, you should definitely get it 100% of the time. So I pick sharp takeover. The build comes out as a facilitating finisher, and honestly, this build is just so much fun to use. Even though it might not be the best build in the game, it might not be the most badged out build in the game, this build is so much fun to use. And if you guys want to adjust it, like I said, you guys can. Obviously, it's just a baseline. But yeah, that's about it for this video. I gave you guys the 5 best builds in NBA 2K22. I gave you guys the rating you guys need to use them, like how good you need to be to use them. So make sure you guys put that into account when you are making a decision which build to make, especially out of these 5 builds. They're the best builds in the game. And yeah, that's gonna be about it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I hope this one helped you out a lot. And with all that being said, I'm out, man. Peace.